It's 7 o'clock. I'll call this session of St. Mary's City Council to order. Roll call, please.
Mossler.
Here.
Harris.
Here.
Ginner.
Here.
Slemons.
Here.
Willoughby.
Here.
Buck.
Here.
Fitzgerald.
Here.
All rise and join Reverend Drummond in prayer.
Gracious Heavenly Father, as we come before you tonight, we ask, Lord, that you be present in this meeting. We ask, Lord, that you lead and guide each decision that's made here. We ask, Lord, that you continue to bless this community and keep it safe. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll receive a copy of the minutes from the previous meeting in your envelopes. If there are no corrections, I'll accept the motion to accept. Mr. Ginner, second by Ms. Willoughby. Council vote to accept them. Yeses, thank you. Under petitions and communications, we have a swearing in this evening. Mayor McGowan.
What I'm going to do is you just repeat your name and then afterwards just lift your hand and shake your hand. All right. Too close? Thank you. All right. Repeat after me, Lucas. I state your name.
I, Luke Wessel,
Do solemnly swear and affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and that I will faithfully,
and I will faithfully,
honestly,
honestly,
impartially
and partially
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of the office of police officer
of the police officer
with the Department of St. Mary's, Ohio,
with the Department of St. Mary's, Ohio,
State of Ohio,
State of Ohio,
during my continuance in said office.
during my continued said office.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Good one.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Congratulations. I tried to say it.
Take a break while the audience.
Sure. Hopefully it works out this year. Wings, as soon as I said, we're saving that chair, wings, I'm sitting.
About everybody, yeah. Okay, also, under petitions and communications this evening, we have two requests, one's an alley, one's a street. I'll read the alley first. This is to the undersigned adjacent property owners hereby request the vacation of the following described alley by the city of St. Mary's, being all the portion of an existing 12-foot wide east-west alley lying west of Wayne Street and south of Oliver Street, and being bounded on the north by lots numbers 6, 7, 8, 9 of the Felix Swigert subdivision of OL, whatever that is, number 91, outlot. Thank you, Craig. And being bounded on the south by lot number 13 of the Felix Swigert subdivision of outlot number 91 of the city of St. Mary's for a plated distance of 180.5 feet. I apologize, didn't get any maps with these. I'm familiar with the area. There's pretty much nothing there other than lawn right now. Now the street. The undersigned adjacent property owners hereby request the vacation of the following described street by the city of St. Mary's, being all that portion of Oliver Street, being 33 feet wide and lying west of Wayne Street, and being bounded on the north or on the south by lots 7, 8, and 9 with the Felix Swigert subdivision of outlot number 91, and being bounded on the north by part of outlot number 75 by 507 South Wayne Street of the City of St. Mary's for a platted distance of 135 feet. Again, these are all pretty much in the same area, as you can tell by the description. Craig, would it be possible? Greg, would it be possible to get a map of these? So
It will be, Dan. There's a planning commission scheduled for September 10th, and at that meeting, we'll provide council with maps and further information. Just recommend that council send it to the planning commission.
That's what I was going to say. If they want to deal with it, we're going to have to send it to them. So, since I've already read both, I'll accept the motion to send both the alley and the street request to the Planning Commission. So, Mr. Bosler, second by Mr. Harris. That's a vote. All yeses. Thank you. That's all we have scheduled under petitions and communications. Unless there's anything that anyone needs to address council about. If not, we'll move on then. Under reports from city officials, this evening Chief Everly has agreed to come in and give the council an update on how the school traffic's been going.
Yes, sir. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The first 3 days of school went actually very well. I think the biggest reason is the quality of students we have in our school system, the patience of our parents, and the hard work of the school administration in getting the kids there. The high school wasn't a real issue. We had the first day we had 20 kids cross the overpass. 39 came back in the afternoon. Second day we had 16 and 39, and the third day we had 12 and 34. One of the issues we have out there, of course, is the backup of traffic on the exit ramp from 33 to 66. The Auglaize County Sheriff's Office had personnel out there. The second day, we were trying to get a feel how fast, if that would back up out onto the 4-lane. And from like 7 a.m. to 7:15, they had to dump the traffic off that ramp 4 different times. That could very be an issue in the future. We're hoping people will take an alternate route and avoid that. The shuttle bus that the school is running works well. I would again recommend people use that. The numbers on that were 60 kids the first day, 103 the second, and 98 on the third. No real problems at Holy Rosary. East School, the primary school, there was a little bit of a backup there, but the first week they only had half the kindergarten class there at a time, so this week will be the week to get a judge on it. The intermediate school at West School, we had some problems the first day with just the backup of traffic. Every child, every parent in that school is going through that one intersection. They revamped their dismissal procedure and cut it down considerably the second day, and they still continue to look at that to see if there's ways to improve it. All in all, we had a safe first week of school. Again, the children and the parents, the patience they exhibited was wonderful, and we'll continue to look at any possible problems that may arise. But it went a little better than I think we thought it would.
That's all. Anybody in council have any questions for the chief?
One quick question.
Sir.
The traffic from 33 to 66,
So,
do you have any proposed alternate routes that, because I live in West Oaks, to go into town and come across, since High Street, we're getting closer there, but that's, makes it difficult to go around. If you go north to Glenwood Road and come out 66A, you're still dumping into that same traffic pattern.
yes, sir.
Is there any, is the other thought to go clear out to somewhere north, then try to cross 66 on the north route?
You could. I would recommend people just give a few minutes extra travel time, come down Spring or South Street, and get onto Spruce. I believe tomorrow they start work on the Spruce Street and High Street intersection. Just give a little extra time, be a little patient with all of us, and we'll get them there. But no, to answer your question, there is no simple way to that. I avoid that when I take my son to school just because of that. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I was wondering about, me and Greg was talking about that earlier, about the speed limits, Chief. I've had people call, was concerned about, I know some of that's state highway, And they said they're afraid, is there any possible way at any time where any of these speed limits can be reduced or anything because of the walkers in case bad weather when they're crossing the bridge, et
The
cetera?
overpass is outside our jurisdiction. We were out there those 3 days. We had officers out there at the beginning of the school day and at the end, just to try to ease people's minds and to make people aware that there could be an increase in the walkers out there. I don't know if there's a quick or an easy solution to this. It would take the state of Ohio, I believe, because that's their jurisdiction. No, I can't answer that. I don't think it's possible right now.
But having a heavy police presence out there, which is what you've done, that tends to slow everybody down, and that's what needed to happen.
It does, but the first morning, our issue was the sheriff's office was directing traffic off that ramp, and we weren't getting an accurate feed on how much traffic was backing up. So we regrouped and with the help of them, and we were gonna wait and see what they would do without law enforcement stepping in, and we realized there's a problem there. And with High Street being down,
And it may
we'll
take,
keep an eye on
it may
it.
take a heavy police presence out there until they work their way through their problems that they're having out
Yeah,
there.
it can, but again, I was amazed by the way the students behaved. I don't know why we would be, we would expect nothing else, we got some of the best kids in the state. The parents had a lot of patience with us.
Part of the trick is to have a strong police presence without impeding traffic.
Exactly, that's exactly true, because that tends to make people, everybody slow down, pay attention, and be on their toes. And-
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, you know, our police force has always done a good job here, having a presence, or when we dismissed school, even when we were down here on
Yeah.
South Street and stuff, you know, you guys did a good job of patrolling down there, and I always thought that's what needed to be done, and I think that's, you know, in that situation they have out there right now, I think everybody's gotta be on their toes with those on and off ramps
Yeah,
and stuff.
they do, but again, everybody's been real cooperative and it's been very good.
I have heard a number of complaints of the delay, the bottleneck, and
Right, and one of the, I had somebody bring that up, I think the first day at West School, and it's like, well, you know, if we go out there, first of all, we can't, it was bottlenecked. And that people are gonna behave different when we're out there, and we can't get a real judge of what the issues are if we're standing out there, so. They've revamped their dismissal procedures, it seems to have made a big improvement. And they'll continue to work on it, and we'll continue to try to work with them as best we can. And the goal is to get everybody to school and from school safely and in a decent time. But it's a learning process, and they're catching on pretty quick, I think.
Do you think once High Street is totally finished, that'll make a big difference?
It'll help. It'll help, but primary school is laid out a little different. There's a more access. The intermediate school, West School, is that one intersection all the traffic flows through. The high school is kind of restricted on its entrances and exits. We'll see what happens. I wish it was open. It would ease some of the problems, but I mean, we'll deal with what we have and make it work.
Any further questions for the chief? Okay, thanks, chief, we appreciate it. Next, under reports from city officials, we have the auditor's report. Doug,
And I have no corrections or additions.
questions or comments from council? Next, we have the treasurer's report.
City reports, same thing.
Yeah, any questions or comments from council? Safety service director's report.
And just a few things to add. On August 18th, we had a fire department vehicle involved in a motor vehicle crash, a 98 Chevy 3/4 ton pickup truck. A young female from Salina was at fault in the accident. Consequently, the vehicle, we were notified today by the insurance company, is a total loss. So Doug and I are gonna work to see if there's some funding available. We may need at some point next month to schedule a finance committee meeting to discuss the possibilities of a supplement to replace that vehicle. The fact that the vehicle was a total loss was kind of a surprise to us today, so we're going to deal with that as quickly as we can. There was no serious injuries in the accident. Each vehicle had one person, and it happened on Diaper Street. Next thing is, 3 of the 4 homes have been taken down, as you've probably seen. The contractors are responsible for the grading and the seeding of those lots. They'll clean them up. As I understand it, they'll probably wait a couple weeks to get a break from this heat before they sow the seed and try to make the lots more presentable. The 4th home should be down by the end of this week. Craig Muller has informed me that there are 3 additional homes that he has received funding for. He is working with those property owners to get those homes demolished and move that program forward. The last property owner that we were having some problems with, recently we attended a court hearing on, has had a change of heart. He has signed off on the paperwork, and his will be the next house to come down. Lastly, the power plants. I was notified today that there have been 5 roll-off dumpsters full of material that have been removed from the power plant, taken to the Salina landfill. So that process is moving along very quickly, so that's good news.
Glad when that project's done.
I will be too.
Any
Other
question,
than that, I'll answer any questions that I can.
any question or comments for Service Director? Then we'll move on to reports from committees of council. We have one this evening, Street Sidewalk Committee. Mr. Slemons.
Okay, we had a meeting on Street and Sidewalk Committee. The main thing was Walnut Street. You know, this has been ongoing ever since I've been in council, 18 years, and closing. Anyhow, they definitely want a brick street. And I don't see any reason why we can't give them a brick street, up to a certain point. Now, we talked to Mr. Hobler, Dean Hobler, he used to be president of council, and he had the idea of maybe putting in new curbs, straighten the brick up, and see what happens. And if we still have a problem, increase it to whatever we have to do. He is willing to work with Mr. Muller, our engineer, and they're going to work it out, and so both sides, that we can afford it and they will be happy. And if we can get to that point,
That'll be magic.
we're gonna be great. So, it's not on the street program for 2014. Mr. Muller's got enough stuff right now, so, but he will get on it as soon as he gets some time and so forth. It's an expensive item, that's for sure. They definitely don't want blacktop. They definitely want brick.
Make it gravel.
Doesn't
that work?
Now, don't get all squishy on this.
But, I can't blame them. It's the last street in St. Mary's. It's brick. That's what they want,
But then on the other hand, Bill, you've got 61,000 versus 373,000. That's the numbers that are in front of us right now.
But we don't want to get in this hog wild. We want to get in there and put the curves in. This is Dean Hobler's suggestion. Put the curves in, straighten the brick up, and see what happens. If they have more problems with it, then just keep going until we get it done. And $350,000.
Yeah. The surface of the surface of the street, we went back and reassessed, asked Craig to go back and reassess this last week. And the surface of the street is actually pretty good shape. It's 123 years old, and with just a couple of exceptions where some repairs have been done, the street is okay. I mean, it's not going to be like an asphalt street. It has some waviness to it, but the problem that exists is the sandstone curbing on it. And there's probably 8 or 9 pieces that are broken that need to be replaced. And those sit in on a sand footer.
And Craig doesn't seem to think that it would be too difficult of a job to go in, dig in next to those things, put this, put the sand back into it, put the stone back on it, and that would be satisfactory to the people who live down there. And they told us that they would be interested in when we had the plow down there, just raise our plows up and allow the snow plow to go through a couple inches above the surface of the street.
But didn't Dean also come back and say that we had some of that sandstone?
We do have some of it, I believe.
Laying
It's
around?
down at the water plant, I think that's where he said it was. So they can be replaced.
And they would do the sidewalks?
Yeah. So your issue then, Jim, is, the approach from the street on those, that'll have to be addressed and how that's done, and
I think it'd be great.
a little weed killer on the, between the bricks would help out.
If we go in there and do some maintenance,
Yeah.
and they're satisfied, that's the main thing.
That's it.
They're satisfied, and we're satisfied, or we can afford it. Boy, that's great.
Yeah.
And it's not a speedway down there, it's not like
No.
Greenville Road.
Hardly anybody
No.
uses it.
But,
Or Greenville Road.
that surface of that street, we went down and walked it from end to end several times, and the surface on the street's amazingly in good shape
Yeah.
after 123 years, so,
The only bad thing, if you got a water break.
yep, that's right.
Water break's always bad.
Yeah, it is.
But if we can satisfy them people down there, and we don't have to put much money in it, I'm open for suggestions.
It was interesting when we went over to that court hearing that was just referred to in Wapak. If you driving on Auglaize Street past the fairgrounds, it's 3 or 4 blocks down. It's called Court Street. It's a brick street in Wapak, and they just this year went in and replaced the curbs and the gutters with our standard concrete curb and gutter, and left the street, so if you happen to be over Wapak, you might drive by there and take a look at it. They didn't do anything with the brick surface because the grass is still growing between the bricks
It's
there.
pretty rough, though, isn't it?
But
I think you use different style of brick.
Yeah.
The brick we got down here is
it does give you a feel for what would happen if you just did the, curbs and gutters. And as I mentioned at the hearing, remember, the property owner pays for curb and gutters. The city doesn't pay for the curb and the sidewalk there. It's always been their responsibility.
The main thing is get everybody satisfied and everybody happy. And I think the way Dean talked, he's kind of the leader of the people. I think they'd be well satisfied if we put in curb and sidewalks and just go from there.
I didn't notice on the drawings at the meeting, are there any water or sewer lines running in the street, underneath the street? That may have to be addressed someday.
Now, I think the water line runs down the middle of the street, I'm not sure.
That would be my only concern. If we would have to do something there, then we're gonna have to make another decision.
The only thing we could do is put the water main in a boulevard. And that way, if we do have a water break, we ain't gonna need a service street down there.
I'm sure
Craig
Craig will
will think of
address that.
abandoning the line that's underneath the street there?
That'd be one way of doing it.
It's gotta be a boulevard.
Bill would
Yeah.
You put it in boulevard, you're gonna kill a lot of trees, but
There's only one tree in that boulevard.
there is.
Yeah, there's only one.
I'm not sure. I haven't checked with Craig.
You think that street's been done?
Yeah. I can only remember one water break. I remember it was very chilly
They always bring it.
in the middle of the night. That's all I have.
You need to work on it.
We'll get her.
Any further questions or comments from council?
I have one,
Go ahead.
in regards to the house. One of the houses that was torn down, Resource Center, it's the Hurlberts, are working with one of those gentlemen to rebuild his house there on Vine Street. And we actually have some funds. It's in the, if you look in your report, the 248 fund there, it's about 80,000. And that money represents funds that were paid back to the city. The city got a grant about 30 years ago, 25 years ago. It's called the CHIP program. And we loaned out state money for improvements, first-time home buyers, and then some of the money was paid back, and that fund has essentially been sitting there, not being used. And this resource group has approached the city. If the city would perhaps give an interest-free loan to this gentleman as part of the project to rebuild his house there. I think it's a 312.
The 248 fund, Craig, is that what you're
Correct.
talking about? Correct.
And I called the state housing people, and he said that would be a perfect use for this money. And I've checked with Pogemeyer, who has worked with us in the past administering this, and they're still in the process of looking at this, but they would be willing to work with us and provide the services necessary to do the paperwork. I'm sure there'd be a fee there, but it wouldn't be that great. It would come out of that money. And we could effectuate this loan and maybe do some others too. I think it's kind of a good use of that money for that original purpose, and will help out this gentleman. I think his name is Mr. Sloan, Jim Sloan. And it'll have a nice house there before we had a tear down.
It says $47,000 of that's appropriated somewhere.
Yeah, it's already been, I just wanted to inform council that we were gonna perhaps be using some of that money.
So you, if we use some, you'd use some that's above 47 but less than 81. Is that what you're talking about doing?
Yeah, we'd use the money that's already been appropriated.
Oh, you use some of that's already been appropriated to use for that purpose?
Right.
Okay. Okay.
So you're saying it's an interest-free loan for like Mr.
Right, it would be paid back at some point in time without any interest.
Could other people in the areas?
Yeah, we hope if somebody else wants to build a house.
There really is no other use for
Right.
that money. We
And
can't
so
use
I
it
would
for
encourage
anything else.
anybody else who, work with a group like, The Rock's kind of like, what's that, Habitat for Humanity.
Yeah, that's
And other
basically
towns,
what they're doing.
Habitat has used those type of funds. This is a very similar type project.
And then as that money gets paid back, there's money in the
Correct.
coffer then
It
for
comes
somebody
back
else to
again.
Right, exactly.
loan it out. Right.
It's kind of like our revolving loan
Loan
fund for
funds,
business.
right.
Yeah, who would handle taking care of the payments and stuff? Would that go back through Pogemeyer, or would that come to us?
Probably through our development office. Yes. Something else for them to do.
Yeah. He doesn't make
There wouldn't be regular pay, I don't think that's gonna be a big administrative burden. Pogemeyer will have the initial paperwork. I think the loan frankly would just sit there until the house would be sold, and then it would have to be paid back.
So-
to the house.
Check Todd, he was doing quite a bit of that at one time.
Right. Right.
All right.
Okay. Right.
Any further questions or comments from council? That's all we have under readings of ordinances, or not ordinance resolutions, but meetings of council. Moving on then to readings of ordinances and resolutions. Under third readings, we have ordinance 2013-28, an ordinance vacating a certain 12-foot wide, north-south alley in the Clover Lawn addition in the city of St. Mary's. If there any comments, really one way or the other on this one, other than the people who requested it, and the planning commission acted affirmatively, so I will accept the motion to pass. Mr. Harris? Second by Mr. Buck. Council vote to pass, please. All yeses, thank you. Also under third readings, we have resolution 2013-11, a resolution approving the 2014 budget. Is there any questions or comments from council on this? I'll accept the motion to pass also. Ms. Willoughby, second by Mr. Fitzgerald. Council vote, please. All yeses, thank you. That's all we have under third readings, under second readings. Ordinance 2013-29, an ordinance approving the editing and the inclusion of certain ordinances as parts of the various component codes of the codified ordinances of the city of St. Mary's. This is updates to what used to be the Green Book, but is now our codified ordinances on our website, which is pretty handy. I think I may be turning my Green Book in.
Oh, yeah?
I never use it anymore, I always use the website. If there are no questions or comments from council, this will come up for its third reading at our next meeting. Under new legislation, ordinance 2013-30, need a motion to read? Ms. Willoughby, second by Mr. Slemons. Council vote to read, please. All yeses. Ordinance number 2013-30, an ordinance permitting hunting in certain designated hunting districts. Who wants to take this one?
I'll defer to Mr. Noble.
There we go.
This has been kicked around. It actually has to do with development to some extent. And I don't want to indicate that there aren't many areas in the city right now that this would even apply. But as the city grows, certain people have expressed concern, well, if we come into the city, we wouldn't be allowed to hunt, because if we annex a rural area, it's a detriment. So we're going to show people, hey, under certain circumstances, if you're in the city, it is possible to go to the service director, and obviously this is going to be in a rural area, not where people are living near, and the service director could establish rules and standards and then say, okay, in this particular area, you can hunt on your own land. And this would be somewhat similar. I think we did this in the dog running a large ordinance, and we have the service director can designate an area where the dogs can run. And so this gives us some flexibility. There might be one or two places in the city right now where this might apply. I think out there across from Parker Hannafin, we just annexed as a farm area. It's possible that could possibly be certified. There might be one other area.
How about the landfill?
This technically doesn't, since it's not in the city, hunting is technically permitted out there, that based on, if the service director would permit that, because that's actually outside the city. This law only applies to, property in the city. I don't know that we allow hunting. I think there's some such special situations out at the landfill for some disabled individuals
Disabled hunting, yeah.
that we do allow hunting. So, that's up to the service director out there already.
And this is going to be in compliance with Ohio Hunting Code.
Oh, absolutely. Everybody would, you can't waive that.
Bill Metz has a group out there, I think.
Right. It just gives us a little flexibility in some way.
Is there any questions or comments from council?
I don't think, my honest opinion, I don't like them being hunting out there on the landfill. There's equipment around there's buildings around there, and, for the handicapped people to hunt out there, I think that's a great idea.
Well, I think that's all we allow.
Yeah, that's all we allow.
That's all we allow out there.
Bill Metz has a group of people that he supervises to do that.
Yeah.
It's well supervised, it's not an
But
open
otherwise, if
season.
anybody wanted to hunt out there, they gotta get permission from the service, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Correct.
All right.
This isn't going to change that policy whatsoever.
Craig, are we going to put together a map or something like that to identify these areas?
We could, it'd be up, right now, I don't think it hardly affects
We don't have
any.
it.
Maybe it doesn't apply yet,
Right, right.
other than you
I would
said
say maybe
out
that
across
one,
from Parker Hannafin.
right,
Well, that may, if somebody comes in and asks to
Correct.
do that.
right,
But you're just not gonna go out and name them.
right. This would only be done
Somebody's gotta put in a request.
on request. If you were in the city and you had a rural farm area, but, well, it could be out there, actually, there is one area where it could apply,
Yeah.
that land west there on Beeler's property. That'd be a perfect example, right there.
Yeah,
That's all farm ground.
yeah, on the other side of 33.
And the mayor, or under this, the service director could designate that a hunting area. And like Mr. Beeler owns it, and if he came in and say, hey, I wanna hunt on that property, but it's inside the city, the service director could set that up as an area where he could hunt. So that really, right now, would probably be the best example.
Yeah.
This just gives them the opportunity to do that, doesn't say that we have to
Correct.
or
Right,
don't
it
have
just-
to.
You can always say no.
Yeah, it leaves it to their.
It just says that we have the ability to let them
Correct.
consider that
Yes.
if the safety service director wants to allow it.
Correct.
Thank you.
Pretty well covered that.
Is the land behind the foundry fields is my
Possibly.
Any further questions, comments from council? Moving on then, that we'll be back for its second reading at our next meeting. Next, under new legislation, we have resolution 2013-13. Need a motion to read?
Under suspension or whatever, aren't these something we usually pass with just the first?
Well,
have we done-
looking at my big yellow note on the front of this thing, yes, they have
Because
to
you
have
never
it by
know,
the.
the state might decide not to give us the money.
They first sent this to us last Wednesday, and they have to have it back by this Friday, so, yeah, this is something, I'll accept the motion to read under suspension of rules.
So moved.
Mr. Osler, second by Mr. Buck. All yeses. Resolution 2013-13, a resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor. Craig, would you run through these for the new members on council, for John and Bob? To explain what we're doing here.
This has to do with the tax rates, I believe. A certain portion of the real estate taxes, a small portion I would add, comes to the city. And basically, this is authorizing, I think, the county auditor to approve those rates. Looks like the general fund gets 2.75 mils, and police and fire get 0.6 mils. Is that the great bulk of your real estate taxes go to the schools, and some other small, like the senior citizens gets half a mil, and like the health department gets a little. But this is our little share of the real estate taxes. And they always need this in order to collect that, I guess.
It's something we do every year. Any questions? Cool. If there are no questions, I'll accept the motion to pass as an emergency. Mr. Harris, second by Mr. Ginner. Yeses, thank you. Next, we have resolution 2013-14. Is this something you need right away, Craig, these changes?
Yes, sir.
Right.
I was pointing at Sue, this is her. He's hiding back here.
You're here if there's any questions. Huh?
Yes,
Okay. Since the service director has mentioned, said that this is something we should pass right away, I'm going to accept the motion to read under suspension of rules. Mr. Slemon, second by Ms. Willoughby. Let the vote to read under suspension of rules. All yeses. Resolution 2013-14, an emergency resolution approving changes to the classification plan of the city of St. Mary's. I'm assuming, Sue, that these are the changes that you've been working on over the last year or so with the different unions adding and creating new positions to better utilize the workforce?
Yes, mainly with the utility workers union. And just to note on the additions at the top, they're not really new positions, but new titles. For instance, the water sewer line worker and the distribution service worker, they were both previously called labor positions. So we wanted to separate them and clarify the duties more, and we retitled them.
Did this put like different pay grades type stuff, you know? Did this put those like in different, you know, don't we have like pay grade things, you're at a pay a certain level?
Different U scale and the N scale and the utility workers union.
Yeah.
Yes, but some of the job titles are the same in both scales.
Okay.
We tried to in this last contract, if they were really the same job, we changed the title maybe in the U scale so it matched the title in the N scale because it really was the same position, instead of having all these different position descriptions. So that's part of the process too.
Any further questions or comments from council? Got off lucky today. With that, I'll accept the motion to pass as an emergency. Mr. Ginner, second by Mr. Fitzgerald. The vote to pass. Oh, yes, thank you. That's all we have under readings of ordinances and resolutions this evening. Under miscellaneous business and closing, there are no committee meetings scheduled. There's nothing.
No, sir.
Any committee chairs? Can we schedule anything? Hey, oh, yeah, Bill, do you want to schedule another one for Walnut Street?
I do, I just had a feeling you was gonna bring it up.
We'll hold off for a little while.
Yeah.
Okay, then, also, we've got a request for executive session for pending litigation and possible land acquisition. So I'll need a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Ms. Willoughby, second by Mr. Slemons. Council vote to go into regular, or executive session. All yeses, thank you. Ready? We return to regular session. Is there anything else to come before council this evening?
Motion to adjourn?
Motion by Mr. Buck to adjourn, second by Mr. Ginner. Council vote to adjourn, please. All yeses.
Great.